What's going on, Jerome's? Minnesota Fighting Vikings off-ball linebacker Ivan Pace Jr. came in with a lot of hype. So he was undrafted even after a very amazing season, his final year at... What's going on, Jerome's? Minnesota Fighting Vikings, a rookie UDFA linebacker, Ivan Pace Jr. came in with a ton of hype, rightfully so, after he had an amazing season in 2022 with the Cincinnati Bearcats, racking up 9 sacks and 136 tackles, 20.5 tackles for loss, unanimous All-American, but went undrafted because the league saw him as short. At 5'10", even though he had the speed, he's got size, he's got leverage, he's got everything else, man, except for the height. Okay, but Brian Flores hyped him up, talked about how leverage could be a positive. Harrison Smith hyped up Ivan Pace Jr. on NFL Network, and he came into the first preseason game in Seattle as maybe the most hyped UDFA player for the Vikings in a long-ass time. And the question was he going to be able to live up to that unbelievable hype? And the answer is yes. Yes, he certainly did. So Ivan Pace Jr., in his debut against the Seattle Seahawks. So number one, he wore the green dot, sideline communicator with Brian Flores. So he was involved in setting up the defense. He was involved in making checks at the line of scrimmage, and he did a phenomenal job when he was in there. 30 defensive snaps overall, 6 tackles time for the team lead, 80.7 PFF tackling grade. 4 pass rush snaps, 0 pressures. Now, there wasn't any clear cut, hey, we're going to get you to the quarterback spot. We're just going to get this play in for you and make sure that you get your pressure. Didn't really see that, but you could see the way that Pace just has an instinct for the football, whether it's getting after the quarterback, which we've seen during his time at Cincinnati as well as practices early on. Also, just the way that he fills against the run. And he had an amazing play that he wrong-armed the guard, Anthony Bradford, out of a rookie out of LSU, who's massive, by the way, and just got around him and made a shoestring tackle on the running back, and he made it look so nonchalant. He made it look so easy, and it's a play that veterans make. It is, man. And PFF did ding him because of some coverage issues, but that's whatever at this point. He allowed 1 catch for 9 yards on 2 targets. Also, PFF has a big thing against penalties, and he did have one late hit penalty out of bounds against a running back. I don't care. I don't care at all. I think that Ivan Pace Jr. came in, man, and he lived up to the hype, potentially even exceeded it. He looked like a veteran out there. He looked like a starter. And I think that Brian Flores is going to have a really interesting decision to make because generally UDFA guys don't come in and start week 1. But the Vikings off-ball linebacker unit, so you got Asamoah and Hicks right now penciled in as your starters. Asamoah for sure. And then you got the veterans Troy Dye and Troy Reader and William Kwenku. But Ivan Pace Jr. has really set himself apart. Now, will the Vikings have the grapes, the stones, the huevos to bench a veteran Jordan Hicks, who still can bring it as a leader, still can bring it as in run defense, doesn't really have much in terms of coverage skills, but he redid his contract to return to the Vikings. Would Kwesi and O'Connell and Brian Flores have the intestinal fortitude to either cut him, force him into a pay cut, or bench him in favor of Ivan Pace Jr.? And I think there are a lot of parallels here between what happened, what's happening now with Pace and Hicks, and what happened with the '96 Dolphins. So Zach Thomas, who had a phenomenal career in Lubbock, just wrecking him for the Red Raiders, but he was deemed as undersized and too small to play linebacker in the NFL. He fell to the 5th round, which Pace Jr. was a UDFA. Zach Thomas was a 5th-round pick, but he came into Dolphins camp. He impressed enough to Jimmy Johnson and Wanstead and crew that he supplanted the veteran, the great Jack Del Rio, who had signed on to be the veteran stopgap. And they cut Del Rio. Del Rio retired, and Zach Thomas went on to have a Hall of Fame career. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here with Ivan Pace Jr., but the parallels are there. You have this undersized, all heart and hustle linebacker who just has a natural knack for finding the football and making plays, and is a very natural leader out there as well. So much so that in the first preseason game, Brian Flores is entrusting the lining up of his defense on the field to a UDFA rookie. It's amazing, man. It is amazing. And so for all the hype that Ivan Pace Jr. has gotten and will get, I think he deserves it. And I do think that Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, there is some precedent. You look at what happened with Ryan Wright versus Jordan Berry last year, and Kwesi certainly loves squeezing every single dollar he can out of the salary cap, so maybe getting Hicks to cut or take a pay cut would be the leverage that he needs at this spot. And we know that Flores loves Ivan Pace Jr., but we'll see what happens over the next 2 weeks with joint practices and the remaining 2 preseason games. But it would not shock me at all. In fact, maybe it's a slight favorite right now that Ivan Pace Jr. will be your week 1 starting middle linebacker with Brian Osama as his fellow off-ball linebacker, which I'd be okay with. I certainly would be okay with, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Rookie UDFA linebacker Ivan Pace Jr. exceeds the lofty hype and expectations put on him in his first preseason game. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.